Hello and welcome to Community Connections. My guest this episode is Dr. Mira, and she has some wonderful information to tell us. Now, Dr. Mira, thank you for coming. Welcome. Now, you and I met once before and we did a little pre-production. And you know what I took away from that, and what I would like people who watch this program today to take away, this little nugget of the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. I think so many lay people confuse them. So by the end of this program, I would love everyone to know what the differences are, okay?
Absolutely.
That being said, let's delve into some of your background, okay? So tell our viewers a little about yourself.
Well, I was a caregiver for my mother, who passed away. I was working full-time, had 3 children at home, and I went and saw my mother every day at the facility. Actually, that was the hardest part of my life. People that knew me, they thought they were going to bury me before my mother, from the way I looked.
Mm-hmm.
When I was looking for support at the facility, I was totally invisible to the staff. People were just walking by. I felt really lonely. So an opportunity came up with Dr. Schuheim's research company of trials for new medications for Alzheimer's disease. And I worked there at the research facility and worked with 20 different pharmaceutical companies.
Wow.
And followed the patients for many, many years.
I was just going to ask how many years that took.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, again, in a meeting that we had, that dementia and Alzheimer's are 2 very specific things. How do you differentiate? How do you explain to me the differentiation between those 2 scenarios?
Well,
and I'm slow, so you have to, really dumb it down.
don't worry, I am too.
Okay.
Dementia is a very difficult disease to deal with for caregivers because it's almost like an invisible disease. In early stages of the disease, there's no physical manifestations, but subtle behavior changes in the patient. There's a self-denial and frustration in the patient. The interactions with the caregivers are very tentative.
Okay.
And patients themselves cannot comprehend what's going on with them. It leaves the caregiver on guessing how to react to them.
Yes.
And it also, as patients decline, there's a role reversal between the patients and the caregivers.
Yes.
So most of the caregivers are children.
The parent becomes the child becomes the parent.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now, if you see a person with a cast, you would feel bad for them, right? You would open the door,
Yes.
or you would carry something for them, but there's no outward physical symptoms with dementia. That's the problem.
Especially in the early stages.
Very true.
Yes, okay.
Very true.
I know from what little I know, the caregiver is the weakest link in the support groups.
Yes.
So if the caregiver doesn't take care of themselves.
Well, it's very difficult when you see somebody needs you. You forget to care for yourselves, where the patient becomes better physically because they forget how to worry,
Okay.
and the caregiver gets sicker.
Well, now let me ask you, what is your role within the Marquis Health Service?
I partner with Marquis Consultant Services in educating their employees how to deal and better be equipped to deal with the dementia patients. I also educate the support caregivers and support the caregivers of dementia patients to prepare them for the next phase of this progressive.
So that support system is separate from the hospital support system.
Correct.
One is staff and one is family.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
See, you're not so slow after all.
Well, thank you. Let's dive into these support groups, okay? Why is a support group really necessary?
It is, like I said, I felt very lonely, and it is important to have a support group. As a caregiver, it enables caregivers that feel lost and helpless in taking care of their loved ones, as well as dealing with their own personal life. We know issues, we know
Right, everyone has a life.
they
yes.
forget themselves. It's also comforting for caregivers to know that there are other people that are going through the same things as they are.
In round numbers, what kind of percentage do we have in our population of people who have this?
Well, they're saying about 5, there's a big number in dementia, which I will
Yes.
explain later.
Okay.
But they're about 5% of 1 in 9 people will suffer dementia after the age of 65.
Then I'm a candidate. Okay.
Well, we both are.
So with these groups, tell me about the basic of the groups. Who can participate? Where you meet? When you meet? What is that like?
Well, the all caregivers in any of our Marquis facilities are given the opportunity to attend the support groups. Additionally, Marquis Consultants has opened the group to caregivers in both counties, Monmouth and Ocean.
Very nice.
And the Monmouth County group is held on alternate Wednesdays from 12 to 2 at a restaurant in Eatontown called Mocha. They accommodate us with a private room. And the Ocean County meetings are at the Brick Diner on Route 70 in Brick.
So it's a casual atmosphere, not a hospital sterilized kind of atmosphere.
Oh, it's so true. They give us a private room because there's a lot of emotions that come out.
Oh,
It's
yes.
confidential, so I don't hold the meetings in open,
yes.
areas.
Yes.
So both places give us a private room, and that's from 1 to 3 in Brick. And Marquis Consultants are kind enough, thank you, Marquis, to provide lunch
Oh, wonderful.
for all the caregivers. They've been incredibly generous about that.
That makes a very nice conversational, almost a family atmosphere.
Abs-
And many things get shared over a meal. That's nice.
And they do. They become a family. They help each other in going to doctors. People who can't drive,
Yeah.
somebody in the group will drive them. But,
Now, do people stay in the group even after their loved one is passed?
people have asked to,
Okay.
and I think it's very beneficial to have them because they have gone through the journey of it, of
Yes.
the disease. So in one room, there's hundreds of hours of talent, education, and experience and knowledge.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm not a joiner by nature, so tell me about the atmosphere of the group. Does one stand up and say, "Hi, I'm a caregiver," or can you just walk in and sit and listen?
Well, you have an option, obviously. If you're the type that is apprehensive and you don't want to talk, nobody really forces you to.
Okay.
But let me give you an idea of how the meetings go. So we start the meetings with introducing new members
Right.
because we always have a turnover, they're new members. And then everybody takes a turn to share their current status and the issues they're facing with their loved ones that particular time. And everybody's encouraged to share their experiences, and most of the people have solutions, so they don't
Oh,
feel
okay.
really lonely. In addition, we have speakers that, for expert information for caregivers, such as we have the county resources. The county people
Yes.
come in and tell us what's available to them. In fact, I didn't know half of the things.
I think a lot of people don't understand or know what's out there, and if you don't know, you don't get. So the more you can tell people what's available,
So
outstanding.
I actually didn't know half of the things. We have elder lawyers that come in. We have doctors that come in. We have tax consultants that come in. And in addition, we have yoga instructors that come in. So when you're stressed, they teach you how to.
So the caregiver can get that stress out. Okay.
Absolutely. It's time for the
Yes.
caregivers, that
Okay.
window.
Excellent. Now, for you personally, what is the most rewarding aspect of running these groups? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
No.
please.
I feel that I'm making a huge difference in the lives of the caregivers I feel gratitude back from the caregivers and the community.
Look
I have the best job in the world.
Not many people can say that.
No. Before my mother died, she always told me, whoever you take care of, think of them as your parents, and you'll never go wrong.
Oh, very nice.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank Marquis Consultants for allowing me to provide this invaluable service to the caregivers and to do what I love to do.
Wow. So few people can say that they love their job. That is wonderful. On that high note, you know what? We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to get into education, okay?
Absolutely.
Stay with us, please. We're going to come back with some really valuable information. Thank you.
I am Vince Bagarosa, volunteer with the Monmouth County Meals on Wheels program operated by Interfaith Neighbors located in Asbury Park. The Senior Nutrition / Meals on Wheels program currently serves over 1,100 daily meals to homebound seniors across Monmouth County. Annually, the program provides a noonday meal to 3,500 senior citizens, a total of 350,000 meals per year. The meals are nutritionally balanced and planned by an on-staff registered dietitian. The program is available for those over 60 years of age and limited number of disabled persons under the age of 60. In addition, a weekend and holiday program is offered on a limited basis to seniors who have no one else to care for them. For the homebound, the Meals on Wheels program provides a vital link to the outside world and the comfort of having someone visit once a day. If you are interested in receiving a daily meal, you can contact Interfaith Neighbors at 732-775-0525. If you are interested in volunteering with meal delivery, please contact the volunteer coordinator at 732-637-2140. Thank you.
Welcome back to Community Connections. My guest today is Dr. Mira, and we've been talking off camera and whatnot. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, okay? You're telling me Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia, but not all dementia diagnosis is Alzheimer's disease. Again, explain that to me as my level, okay?
That's correct. Though people use Alzheimer's and dementia interchangeably, they're very different. Dementia is like an umbrella term used to describe just different symptoms.
Okay.
Like you have memory loss, you have communication and speech impediments, or you could have judgment impairment, you have reasoning problems, like if there's a fire and somebody's running towards a fire, you can't tell a dementia patient, don't go there, you'll get burned. There's no reasoning with them.
When you first started to mention that, I thought, well, I have some of those issues right now, forgetfulness. All right, good.
We have problem-solving issues, or you could have visual perception problems. These are all symptoms of dementia, which is the umbrella term. Now, there are several types of dementia, and Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. In Alzheimer's, the brain starts to deteriorate, and changes happen very, very slowly. Over a long period of time. To date, we really don't have a treatment, a cure for this terrible disease. You know, that's why I told you in the beginning, they were trying in the research labs to different medications with different pharmaceutical companies. Some of the dementias are reversible.
Oh, excellent. I did not know that.
Yeah, like such as you have B12 deficiency dementia. If you have a B12 deficiency patient and you have an Alzheimer's patient, sometimes their symptoms are the same.
Okay.
The difference is if you give the person B12 that they're deficient in, they'll go back to normal.
Oh, wow.
And if you give somebody with Alzheimer's disease B12, they stay where they are.
Okay.
So, and the other type of dementia that's recoverable is alcoholism. They have to give up the fun stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And other forms of dementia are not reversible. You have Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
That's not reversible. You have vascular dementia. That's really a post-stroke disease.
Okay.
When a person has a stroke, there isn't enough blood going to the brain, so the brain cells die.
Right.
And in dementia, once the brain cells die, they don't
They
regenerate.
can't regenerate. Okay.
They're dead, never to come back. You have frontotemporal dementia, which the sports people get. Muhammad Ali had it.
Oh yes, football players.
Football
yes,
players,
okay.
boxers, or a bad car accident where you hit your head. That's non-reversible either. Then you have something very interesting. It's called Lewy body dementia.
Say that one again.
Lewy
Lewy
body dementia.
Okay.
Now, Lewy body is the second most common form of dementia. That's where the amyloid proteins are in your brain. They develop and then they clump up. So once they clump up, I have something to show you which will make
Oh, a
it
visual
easier
aid,
for you,
excellent.
okay? So, we can treat the symptoms, but we can't treat the disease. Now imagine, we have, and I'm going to refer to my note, 86 billion neurons that communicate in
That's
your brain.
billion with a B.
B.
Okay.
But you have 100 trillion connections with each other. So imagine this is your brain. This is the best I could do, okay?
That's just the way I imagine my brain to be.
I feel like the commercial. This is your brain and this,
Yes.
okay. But anyway, so these are neurotransmitters that connect to one another, right? If you have your hand on fire, what happens? The neurotransmitter goes up and says, hey, my hand is on fire. So the central system says, well, move your hand. So the message goes down and you go like
Move
this
your hand,
real fast,
exactly.
right? It happens in nanoseconds.
Okay.
Now, what happens with Lewy body and the amyloid protein that develops looks like this. Now, there are clumps of these that just, they just travel. Then it becomes 2, then it becomes 3. Then it becomes this big clump, okay?
Okay.
So let's say a dementia patient puts their hand goes on fire, right? So their hand goes on fire, the neurotransmitter goes up and wants instructions from the central system. But look, the clump
Yes.
is covering the receptor.
So there's no connection.
So this guy is trying to get instructions all over. It can't.
Okay.
So this is Lewy body, where there's amyloid protein that clumps between neurotransmitters, making it unable for them to communicate.
Wow. I'm just amazed. I didn't realize it was that complicated. I have to tell you, I'm impressed.
Most people don't know, even people in the medical field
Really?
that come in for their orientation with me, they don't even know. It's very complicated
Wow.
because they just touch the surface, right?
So now we've gotten to the point where we know a family member starts to have forgetfulness and long-term memory issues, whatever. What's the next step now for the family to do or caregivers to do once someone is diagnosed?
You mean what behaviors?
Well, grandma's starting to show some dementia. What do I do first? Do I go to the doctor? Do I go to the hospital?
No, just join my support group.
Okay.
You'll get all the information that you want. No, in seriousness, you have to start planning with family members of the patients.
Yeah.
Who is going to help you? You have to pull all the resources because it's the hardest job.
Yeah.
And then you have to get financial planning done. You get legal issues. You have to make sure the living will is
Yes.
in, place. And then it's better to look for facilities, different facilities,
Beforehand.
way when the patient is
Okay.
diagnosed, because when you're under stress, and that point comes very quickly where a caregiver is unable to care for the. You don't want to be in a rush to just pick any facilities. I'm biased towards Marquis
Oh,
because we really, really take care. I see it all the time. Most of the time you go in a facility, it has that odor.
Yes, yes.
I have to tell you, in all of our facilities, I have never smelled that. It's beautiful.
I think the perception of putting someone, a loved one, in a long-term care is very negative. I would think most people want to keep their loved one at home and continue to do as much as they can while they can. But when you are ready to put someone in a home, you're saying get your ducks together long beforehand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's so important to start early than, when you really need it.
Okay. Makes perfect sense to me. Now, what about journaling? If you're caring for someone at home and you want to make sure that you can explain to a doctor what you see going on, is it good to keep a journal?
That's the most important thing that a caregiver can do. To start writing down the patient's activities, the changes in their behavior on a daily basis, because most of the time, have you ever gone to the doctor and you forget half the things you want to
Absolutely.
and then you go out and you go, oh my God. It's best to write it down so when the doctor comes in, you're able to look at your notes and can ask the questions that are relevant, and they can see the decline of the patient's behavior from your journal and the activities over time. Caregivers will get to a critical point as stress, as the patient declines and needs more physical care. The caregiver should be aware of their limitations. Like, for example, I took care of my mother until I couldn't lift her anymore.
Yes.
But then again, you have some caregivers. I lose my caregivers, by the way, sometimes before I lose my patients.
Really?
Because sometimes it's a religious thing.
Okay.
Like in some religions, you're not to put your patient in a facility.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that kind of a thing will kill the caregiver.
Okay.
Because they refuse to
Again,
do
that caregiver is the weakest link. Okay.
Correct.
Now, I've heard through the grapevine that you are a 24/7 person. They get in touch with you all hours of the day and night.
My poor husband. I do want to take this opportunity to thank him all hours of the night. And my children, grandchildren, whenever we have family functions, they always know I'm attached to my phone.
Okay.
Marquis Consultants is the only facility I know, the company, that provides 24/7 support.
Wow.
So it's wonderful because sometimes the patient has odd behaviors in the middle of the night. Like they're walking out the door at 4 in the morning and you just don't know what to do, especially if they're bigger than you. Well, the whole world is bigger than me, but I'm just saying taller than me. But the point is, what do you do at 4 in the morning? Who do you call?
Who do you call exactly?
Marquis Consultants provide that. I am available 24/7, and trust me, I do get phone calls.
I imagine you do. Well, listen, this has been fantastic. I've learned so much, and I know we've only just scratched the surface, really.
We have.
Is there anything in the last few minutes that we need to mention that you think we haven't covered?
Well, I think you covered the fact that I am available 24/7, that Marquis Consultants does support that. And my buildings throughout the Ocean and Monmouth counties, like in Ocean County, we have Crest Point, Willow Springs, Seacrest, and in Monmouth County, we have Coral Harbor and Jewish Home. And I go to all the facilities, and I'm available to all the patients.
That's
there.
outstanding. Having met you, and I have seen some of these locations myself, they all look very nice. They don't give me that embedded old people being warehoused. This is very different.
Look, no,
from the
but there's
stereotype.
nothing like home care, right?
Yes.
But there comes a point in time where you go, but if you, that's why I told you it's better to do your homework before you need it, because you can walk in there, you see what's comfortable for you. It has to
Right.
be within close range where you can go and
Visit,
see,
yes.
visit whenever you want
And
to ask.
financials.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you also want to make sure it's comfortable as it possibly can be, and clean,
Yes.
and the staff is available, and we have all that.
Well, thank you very much for coming. I'm sure we could discuss this more. Maybe we will in another segment, but again, thank you for coming.
So welcome.
Thank you for watching. We hope you come again. If you have comments or questions or would like to tell us something for a future program, please contact us. We're at scannj.org. Thank you much.